The following program contains shocking quotes from America's founding fathers. If you suffer from time spent in public schools, Randall may not be right for you. Check with your guidance counselor.
Proclaiming the truth in the highways and byways of the world. Fighting for justice in the dark alleys of politics. Raising the voice of resistance to a fevered pitch. And he doesn't use a teleprompter. Randall Terry.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Being a fanatic for truth and justice is a duty, but being rabid, that's a gift. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a great show today. We're going to focus on one thing and one thing only. The Democratic Party bringing forward, yes, a budget. Oh, this is going to be a great show. Today's program brought to you in part by the Democratic Party, courageously fighting for principle, the principles of hell, and by the Federal Reserve, with its very own monopoly on printing monopoly money. A quick word from my good friend, Rusty Cowpoke, and I'll be right back. Hey, Rusty, I have one word for you. Botox.
I got it. Hey, now, Randall's thinking of running for president. Oh, yeah? And I'm thinking about buying Texas. So listen, he's going to run some pro-life ads during the Super Bowl game? You know that's going to start a blaze of controversy. When the baby-killing lunatics start seeing those ads, they show their true colors like a pack of crazed wolves fighting over fresh meat in the dead of winter. But I got a sneaking suspicion Randall Terry's ready to take 'em on. Go get 'em!
In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, I am married. We'll say, hey, dude, get your religious crap out of our face. It's our business. Go away. Shoo. Welcome to the program, friend. Happy Advent to you and Merry Christmas. Let's go right to the news. The Democratic leadership, the lame duck Democratic leadership, has introduced a budget. A budget? We haven't seen one of those in years. What is it? Yes, it's a budget. Well, on the political score, it's the Democratic Party saying to the Tea Party, to the Republicans, to an awful lot of voters in America. And I want to say this. I applaud the Democratic Party. Now, what I intend to do with this program is to educate you. Oh, no, don't turn the channel. Don't go, how could he say that? He doesn't believe in the Democratic Party. No. Hear me out. Because Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid have used their power to teach us, to instruct us. And what I would like to do is go over the lessons that they have taught us to help the Tea Party movement, independents, libertarians, and theocentric Republicans to learn from their enemies. One of the biggest problems that I have seen in politics, social activism, is the refusal of people to give the devil his due. Okay? People want to be dismissive, constantly dismissive of their adversaries, of their intellects, of their ideals. Don't do that. When your enemy does something that smacks of political genius, admit it, say so, and learn from it. So what I want to do is go over with you some of the fine lessons that Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid and President Obama are teaching us about introducing the budget at this point, and not a continuing resolution, which is what all the Republicans want. A continuing resolution for, say, 60 days would then put the burden on the Republicans, both the House, the Republicans who control the House, and the Senate, where the Democrats will no longer have a filibuster-proof majority. It would put the burden on the Republicans to work with the president to craft a budget. But the lame duck Democrats have yanked that rug out from underneath them. I'm going to leave it to other broadcasters to talk about the figures and what's in it. You can get that anywhere. But what you're going to get here, you're going to get schooling. All right, number one, what they have shown us is that they are worthy enemies. They are worthy enemies. Folks, they're playing hardball. They were handed one of the biggest defeats, dare I say it, one of the biggest political butt whoopings in U.S. history on November 2nd. And how do they react? We're pursuing a budget. We're pursuing our agenda. They come back. They go straight forward with don't ask, don't tell. They go straight forward with introducing a budget which is massively inflated, which says we don't care what the Tea Party, we don't care what the Republican majority wants. We are going forward with this. They are worthy enemies. And the question that their valor, I didn't say it was just, I didn't say it was good, but the question that their valor, their courage brings is this: are the Republicans worthy allies? When you have a worthy enemy, you need worthy allies to fight that worthy enemy. And I frankly don't think that we have worthy allies in the Senate. I was not impressed with Mitch McConnell's performance over the last 2 years. Were you? I don't know what John Boehner is going to do. I don't think for a minute that John Boehner is going to fight tooth and nail to completely repeal Obamacare and to begin the hard work of beating back the socialist plantation. I mean, do you think he's going to? So what the Democrats have done is shown what a worthy enemy looks like, but also they're going to highlight by this very action how unworthy our allies are. But there's something else that we can learn from this. John Boehner gets up on election night and says, this is a great victory for the American people. Nancy Pelosi says, this is a great defeat for the American people. One of the lessons that we can learn from what's going on right now, and I want you political animals to hear me, just stop saying that something is a victory or a defeat for the American people. There are winners and there are losers. If you were a slaveholder during the Civil War, the war is over, they passed the 13th and the 14th Amendment that outlaws slavery. Some people would say, it's a great victory for the American people. Hey, not for you, you're a slaveholder. You are, ready? You're a loser, okay? You lost. If you are a recipient of the federal largesse, if you can buy your bread with the sweat of another man's brow, and we end the socialist plantation, you're going to be a loser. If you are working hard and you're paying for the bread of other people against your will, and we end the socialist plantation, you will be a winner. So we have to find definitive nouns that express this. Let's stop the charade that it's a victory for the American people. Let's say it's a victory for freedom-loving people and it's a massive defeat for the socialists among us. How's that? If we make child killing from conception until birth criminal again, we're not going to say it's a victory for the American people. We can say, number one, it's a victory for all human beings that are in their mother's womb. We can say it's a victory for life-loving Americans. And we can say it's a glorious defeat for the baby killers whose hands are drenched with innocent blood. We've got to stop the charade because right now this country is divided. And the lesson that Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid and President Obama are giving us, one of the many, and I'm going to come back and take a break and tell you more of their lessons, but one of the lessons is this. We know we're divided. Let's start finding nouns and adjectives to define that divide. Let's start finding words that call a spade a spade. Let's find words that are honest and not duplicitous. And then let's dig up the courage. In fact, maybe we could go to the treasure trove of the Democrats themselves and get some of the courage that they have. Let's get the courage to actually fight against all odds. Even when we've been defeated, let's keep fighting like the Democrats do for freedom, for justice, for life, for marriage, for foreign policy that's based upon absolute morality, not upon self-interest. Okay? Let's learn from the Democrats. They are worthy adversaries. And if we are ever going to see this republic restored, which is still a very big open question, and it's not looking so good, but if this republic is going to be restored, it's going to be because a new generation of leaders come forward, hopefully some of you, who recognize that we are in a huge divide, and we're not afraid to say so. And we're not afraid to use the words that describe that divide, and describe the good guys, and describe the bad guys. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will look at ideology. We will look at democracy. We'll look at winners and losers. We're going to have fun. Don't go away.
Randall just left for a vacation and has been amazed at the amount of highway construction taking place high in the air. Will we be needing control towers to handle the traffic in large cities? Maybe even to the point of having holding pattern loops during those times.
Moments with Moses. And if you gather within your cities, I will send pestilence among you, and you shall be delivered into the hand of your enemy.
Hello, hotline for child abuse. All right, what are the details? You say they put a newborn baby in an animal feeding trough? In a cave? All right, we'll be right over to get the child. Thank you. Merry Christmas. All right, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, of course, they taught us things by introducing this budget. Here, in my opinion, is one of the key things that they taught us, and you and I need to learn from it. You ready? They put ideology first. When it became clear that Americans did not want Obamacare, what did Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid and Obama do? They rammed it down the throat of the American people anyway. Once they had their hind ends handed to them on a silver platter on November 2nd, they came back, and what did they do? They introduced Don't Ask, Don't Tell. You've got 250,000 men under arms right now that say they will leave the military if you have open homosexuals serving, and yet they introduce it. Then in a lame duck session, they introduce a budget. They haven't been able to craft a budget in heaven knows how long, and now they're doing another bloated budget which has Obama's agenda loud and clear in it. Why is that? They're showing us that we must put ideology first. You realize with what they have just done that they could lose more seats in 2012. And you know what their attitude is? Damn the torpedoes, straight ahead. They are people on a mission. These are people who believe. Fire in the minds of men. If you look at the history of National Socialism, of Marxism, of various movements that were trying to literally seize all of society and make it into the image of some Orwellian freakish tyrant, you had people that believed. And they were committed to the ideology. It didn't matter what the facts were. It didn't matter what the people wanted. Ideology first. Ideology first. So here is my advice to you. Learn. Learn from the professionals. Learn from the worthy adversaries of the leadership of the Democratic Party. We must learn to fight for ideology above all else. Because once you have a set of beliefs that you are willing to politically die for, right, to die on that hill, then you become a force. Just look at Nancy Pelosi. Look at Harry Reid. Well, what about democracy? You might say. When we come back from this next break, I'll talk to you about the lessons that they have shown us about democracy. Don't go away.
It's just not art. It's a philosophical statement that
The Ten Commandments are the foundation of justice and law. Now I know that there's probably some older, lecherous men here. Bolshevism is not a policy, it is a disease. Sir Winston Churchill. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, President Obama, giving us lessons that we need to learn from by introducing a budget in a lame duck session that furthers the political agenda that they have that was soundly repudiated by the voters on November 2nd. What's the lesson? Democracy is not the central issue. What the majority wants, not the central issue. This is an invaluable lesson because guess what? It's true. Democracy is a form, not a substance. If a democracy voted to make you a slave, the majority would at that point become a collective tyrant. You need only look at the French Revolution to see that democracy can have all the vice and all of the violence of a dictatorship or of an absolute monarchy. Oh, Randall, what are you saying? You don't want democracy? No, I would actually go along with Winston Churchill. Churchill said that democracy is the worst form of government, except for all the rest. But the truth of the matter is, the principles that undergird a culture, the ideology that undergirds a culture, is in many respects more important than democracy because the definitions of truth, justice, liberty, property rights, rights involving your person, monetary rights, these issues are settled by an ideology, not by a democracy. A majority vote can no more overturn the laws of God than a majority vote can overturn the laws of gravity. So the lesson that Nancy Pelosi et al. Have taught us at this critical juncture is that democracy is not the central issue. Ideology is. Now, that means that you and I have to have the courage to see this and then to say it. When I entered my master's program, they asked us to defend and to refute the statement that democracy was the best form of government for all the peoples of the world. And I started off saying the axiom, the premise of the question is flawed because democracy is a form of government. We have a constitutional republic, not a direct democracy. England has basically a constitutional monarchy, even though they don't have a written constitution. But the point is this. We have to have the guts to say, are you listening to me? It doesn't matter what the majority wants. In certain circumstances, if the majority wants to kill their babies, no. All right, let's just take it out of the unborn, okay? Let's go to the born. Let's say that somebody said, look, abortion is good, but there's a lot of times that a child is born, and within 1 to 2 years, parents realize that they're not equipped to be parents and that this child really doesn't fit in with the family. This child is a burden, economically, sociologically with other siblings, perhaps familially with the extended family. Maybe in the neighborhood the child is from. I don't know. The point is, we learned that the child is a burden. And these advocates of child killing, both in the womb and now after the womb, they somehow prevail in an argument and they get a majority in, say, California or New York to pass a law that says mothers and fathers have the right to do a postpartum termination of pregnancy under the cover of law. If a majority rules or votes for this, and a majority of their elected officials vote for it, it is still a damnable tyranny that must be crushed. It is not valid because it came into being by a democracy. The same holds true for the seizure of your property, for the taking of your liberty. Democracy cannot vindicate that which is evil. So what they have taught us, thank you, Nancy, thank you, Harry, thank you, Mr. President. What they have taught us is democracy is not what is central, it's ideology. We just have to have the guts to fight for ideology as much as they are. I'll be right back. James Madison said, "There is no maxim, in my opinion, which is more liable to be misapplied, and which therefore needs more elucidation, than the current, that the interest of the majority is the political standard of right and wrong." Madison got it right. The political standard of right and wrong is not what the majority wants. It's what our Maker says. I'd rather stand with him, wouldn't you? See you tomorrow.